Hi, I'm Frances Fisher. Pinch hitting for somebody. And I'm glad I got to see it again today. I saw it a couple of weeks ago and was blown away. And again, I'm in the same place. It's so touching, yeah? Am I supposed to introduce everybody? Oh my God. Everybody just come on out here. I'm a little fremished right now. I know Beth Grant, one of my best friends. Oh my God. James Darren.
My boyfriend.
Ed Begley.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Richard Kahan, our producer, this young man. Logan Sparks. Drago, Sumonja.
Drago and, oh my God, I've got everybody's names here.
We did them all.
Richard, oh, you did, okay. Where do we start? My gosh. How did this start? You, young man,
Yeah.
this is your first screenplay. Isn't that?
And he's an actor.
And he's an actor.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, yeah, I'm an actor, so, the powers of paying attention and observation, really paid off. And I got a degree from USC and in film, and then a degree from the theater school. Frances actually gave me my diploma. It's 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Isn't that amazing?
Right.
We just realized that.
It's weird, small world. But the nexus of it basically was is that weird?
It's the honorary diploma giver, I guess.
She gave the speech in the Bing Theater at USC. It was great. Yeah. Welcome to the world, Logan. Oh, God. But Drago and I are buddies. We've been buddies for a long time, and he and I are part of what we kind of refer to as Fight Club, which is in this town, all the assistants and maitre d's and bartenders and valets pretty much run the place and that know what's happening. And he was Dabney Coleman's assistant for many years, and I was Harry Dean Stanton's assistant for 16 years, until the day he went into the void. And we paid attention for so long, and we got our graduate degree at we call the University of Dantana's, which is it's a PhD course. So Begley is a longtime grad of that place. But I'm rambling. But the idea was that Harry Dean and I and Drago had been friends for so long, and he had taught us so many things, and he had this weird philosophy that really nobody had touched on in my life, which is this is it. Enjoy it, because after this there's nothing, and nobody can guarantee you anything. So you're looking in the void, but right now you can bring some joy to the moment.
So are you saying that a lot of the lines that Harry actually spoke were from his own life, and that you just gleaned it from all those hours and months and years you spent with Harry?
Yeah, absolutely. We stole and we really did. We stole everything we thought was powerful, but we didn't want to make a documentary. Sophie Huber had made one, which is beautiful. It's called Partly Fiction, but we didn't want to do that. We wanted to tell a linear narrative about something we created, but we wanted to incorporate what Harry had taught us and what we knew Harry could bring to the screen. Because we knew if we could write this philosophy and convince Harry to do it, then we would have magic. We wouldn't have to do anything else. We competently, put the movie together, but that's it. The man is brilliant, and if he understands what he's talking about and believes in it, then we'd be okay.
And you have a first-time director, John Carroll Lynch.
John Carroll Lynch just kills it.
Character actor.
Another actor. His first directing job.
We know what we're doing.
Right. Well, and I'll tell you, if I may, the reason he was so good, but Drago and I had kind of visioned somebody from an acting field being the director, because they speak the language of actors, which we all are actors. So that sometimes you need a dad or a mom or a coach or a sibling. You need somebody to incorporate. Sometimes you need an antagonist, and John Carroll Lynch knows how to fit that role.
How did you find him?
Hey, thanks for coming, by the way. Thanks for coming. I had known John.
Actor too.
What's that?
I said, you're an actor
an
too?
actor.
Yeah,
Drago's
yeah.
an
Cal
actor.
Arts?
John and I had known each other since '04. We'd worked on a short film together as actors, and remained friends. And when we were writing the script, we wanted to write characters for people we knew, like Ed, and people that would sort of help Harry feel at home on the set. And so John was a guy that I mentioned to Logan, and we wrote the part of Joe Ago in the movie that Barry Shabaka Henley ended up playing. And but I approached John. I said, "Hey, I got this script that we've been writing. Would you?" He said, "Absolutely. I don't know, sight unseen. I'll just do it." And he read it and loved it. And he said, "Sure, just let me know when." And then we had originally, Logan and I had asked Ed to see if he'd be around and available to direct the film, because we wanted someone that Harry would be comfortable again to have a great rapport with, and who not better than Ed, since they're just the closest of friends. And Ed's schedules, obviously, as we all know, he's a very busy man. And he couldn't do it, but he said he'd still love to play the part of the doctor. And then I came back to Logan, and I said, "What do you think about John directing?" Because I'd known John in our conversations over the years has always wanted to direct something. And I thought this might be just a great fit. And so we approached him with it, and he said yes.
So Ed, you and Harry know each other for decades, and I could feel that in the scene between the two of you. Tell us about your relationship.
I met Harry in 1972. I knew him 45 years, and he was a big influence on me, not just as an actor, but his philosophy, and he turned me on to some important people philosophically, some like Alan Watts. I had read some Alan Watts books, This Is It and what have you, and that basically, as you correctly state, was Harry's philosophy and Alan Watts. This is it. This moment right now is really all you get, a series of those moments, and you better live in them right now, the second, otherwise you miss it. Whether you believe in a hereafter or not, you know, it's happening right now too, even if you happen to believe in the hereafter, whatever you believe, it is happening now. It's not going to happen later on the way home, the drive home, or tomorrow,
Right.
next week. This is it right now.
That's
as we sit
right.
here. And you're very kind to consider me to direct it. That was very nice. And but in the words of real estate parlance, you traded up to get John. He did a great job. He's just wonderful, wonderful director, wonderful actor. Great time working with him, and I love playing the part. Beth, I've known forever. I just love you in the movie, you know. And Jimmy, Darren, everybody. It's such a treat to work with Logan. I've known Logan from the day he met Harry. I met him around that same time. And Drago, you did that wonderful video with Harry Dean and Chuck Grodin and all those wonderful actors, and Peter Falk, a great video. So there's a lot of friendship up here and great people that I've known for years. But Harry was one of my closest friends. We talked every day. We did the crossword every day.
So were you on the other end of that phone, or was he just pretending you were on the other
I'd
end?
like
'Cause
to
who
think
does
it was
that?
me on the other end of the
Yeah.
phone, but I'm sure there's many people who go, that was me on the other end of the phone. But he did call a lot. And I love taking the call every time. In the old days, it was me saying, "What is this, sit in a dugout? What does that mean, sit in a dugout? Sat in a dugout. It's canoed." What? Canoed. You sat in a dugout. I would call him for the answers. And a decade or so ago, it became me who was giving him the answers, which I love doing. I was paying back to a dear friend.
Oh, God. So special.
Harry, we love you.
Harry, we
Ed,
love
one
you.
time Harry called me and goes, "What the hell is sports jewelry?" I go, "I don't know." He goes, "Hold on." And he hang up. And he calls back 2 minutes later. He goes, "Talk to Begley. It's a baseball diamond."
I actually remember that.
Well,
Spotted at the Prom was another one. That was one he just couldn't get his mind around. He called me up. "What is Spotted at the Prom?" I went, "It's acne." No, it's somebody was spotted. You see someone at the... No, it's not that, Harry. They're trying to trick you. That's the idea. It's Spotted at the Prom. It's that... No, what? Why is acne? What is that? And finally,
They make up
he gave up.
words. They make them up. It's not a real thing.
Well, Beth, speaking of diamonds, you are just so glowing in this movie.
Yes.
Tell us about what you did, what your process was, and how did you come to the movie?
Well, I got very lucky. Originally, John Carroll Lynch's wife was supposed to play the part, and she was in a Broadway show, and they wouldn't let her go.
Isn't that great?
I had nothing to do with it.
All about Beth.
And I had just done a movie with him, Jackie, last year. He was my Lyndon Johnson when I was Lady Bird.
That's right.
And he had taken such good care of me. He's a real gentleman, John Carroll Lynch. And the Paris part was plain fun, but when we got to Washington, D.C., it was freezing cold, and we didn't have overcoats, and he would just put me up under his big bare arms, and I felt so secure and warm, and like Lady Bird, I felt taken care of. So I was devoted to him, and he called and asked me, and I jumped in like 3 days before we shot or something, so I started learning lines very quickly, but I said yes right away. And then I read the script, and we were talking, I've seen this movie 20 times now, and it was better today. I mean, it really is a meditation. And then when he told me Jimmy Darren was going to be my boyfriend, holy moly. I was so excited. I had originally planned to do it sort of like dry-witted and Thelma Ritter. And then I said, get out the falsies, baby. But actually, that was John's idea. When I got to the costume designer, she had me all in red and sexy, and it wasn't what I expected. But then when I heard it was Jimmy, I said, well, of course, he could only have the best. Yeah, red sexy broad. So, but you know what I love about this movie with the women? Every single woman in this movie is strong and smart and independent and self-sufficient. Come on, let's give these guys a hand
thank
for
you,
that.
boys. Reflecting the real world.
It's
Well,
amazing.
that's it. We don't. Thank you, but we don't need applause for that. There's strong women in our lives in this world, and that's part of what this
Well,
universe
it's very
is.
exciting, and every time I see it, I notice something. I mean, even the little lady that has the answer, for the crossword puzzle, is very self-determined.
That's Logan's mom.
Was that your
Oh,
mama?
that's your mom?
Mom?
That's my real
I
mom.
didn't know that. That's fantastic.
Oh, and the lady with the walker is Richard's grandmother.
That's Ira's
Ira's
mother-in-law.
grandma,
Yeah.
You're Irish.
Well done. She was
Well,
great.
That's your grandma?
Very good.
Rich,
the lady.
It's a
I was
family
going to ask
affair.
you about casting, but first I want to talk to Jimmy a moment and then get to you about the whole casting process, because you got so many incredible. David Lynch?
It's a dream cast.
My God, that performance. But Jimmy, how...
David was really, he was just outstanding. Yeah.
And there you were, in the middle of all of this, the sweetest character. I fell in love with your character. So...
I'm sorry. I thought about. I was talking to Ed and to Beth in the green room, and I thought about really, gee, I should have given that guy more of an edge. He should have been more of just an edgy guy, edgy personality, attitude. But I guess we all do that. We all second guess what we've done. I think
Usually in the drive home from the set after the scene is shot.
Oh, yeah.
and you look for the nearest cliff. You look for the nearest cliff. You look, where the hell's the nearest cliff I could drive over this thing? I should have, would have. But when I wasn't asked to do the film, actually. I was on Mulholland Drive loading my Porsche Speedster onto a flatbed, and Ira Bear drives by, and he sees me, and he jams the brakes and comes back, and he's talking to me about whatever, and he says he's doing a film. He leaves, and I had this feeling. I said, I know nothing about the film, but something is going to come of this. And I went home, I told my wife, because Ira and I have had some strange things where we've had never met. I met him and he put me in Star Trek DS9. He was with a friend. It was at a function, and he said Jimmy Darren would be great for Vic Fontaine, And I'm going to go talk to him. And his friend Fred said, no, you look like a schmuck. Don't do that. Please, just have it, call his agent. But so we have these strange things. So when Ira left, when I was up in Mall, and I knew something was going to come of it, he called me and he said someone had dropped out of the film. Am I correct? And he said, would you be interested? And I said, let me read the script. I read the script. I immediately called him. I said, absolutely. I would love to do it. I love that character, and I'd love to work with all the people in the film, And that's how I got the job. It's like standing on the street corner. It's kind of cool. I mean, I wish I could get every job like that. It would be nice.
Loading your Porsche.
But I'm happy I did it. I loved working with Harry. I'd never met him before. I didn't have the honor and privilege of knowing him for a long time. But he's just a lovely man, and he's a magical man. He just has a magic which you see on the screen. And that man it's just magic. It's indefinable. You can't say it's this or that. It's just pure magic. And so I had the great opportunity to work with Beth and David Lynch, which was a real trip. Yeah, that was like being on another planet. But an interesting planet, because he's a very bright man, and when he did the big scene about the tortoise, about Roosevelt, I mean, I was standing there in the scene, but I was mesmerized by him. I really was. He was that good. So lucky me, I did the film, and I'm so happy to be part of it. And thank you all for having me in the film.
Such an amazing group of people. I loved being in that bar with you guys. And I'm wondering, how long did it take you to shoot all those scenes? And how long was the shoot? I don't know anything about your schedule, but
it was quick.
Were you all in that bar for weeks?
No.
19 days? How many
18 days.
18 days.
Yeah, 16.
Not in the bar total. 18
Not
days
on the
total.
bar. No, 18 days
The
total.
bar was only like about, what, 5, 6, 7 days?
3 days.
4 or 5 days.
How many?
3.
Did you say 3 days?
3 days.
Y'all were in there and you did...
We had David Lynch, and he was editing Twin Peaks, which, if you've seen it, there was a lot of work to be done. That was a monster. So he said, I have 2 days for you, July long weekend. And we said, yeah, we'll build our schedule around that. Yeah, that works. So all the bar stuff, I mean, his portion was 2 days.
Yeah. We cranked him out too. Pretty much shot him out first.
You shot him out first,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
We wanted to make sure we got all of his stuff because we had some more time to cushion
Yeah.
with everybody else.
And he showed up like an actor I think he would want on his set. I mean, he was prepared. He, as you saw, I mean, he knocked it out of the park.
He brought it, yeah.
He was really disciplined. I mean, for a man of his stature and his involvement as a director, a producer, a writer, I mean, he just was. I had such respect for him to think that he was on the set early, and knew everything. And some of those scenes are really quite long that he had to.
Not all actors are good. Not all directors are good actors. There's Sid Pollock and there's him and a few others. He's a really fine actor.
Oh, he's a wonderful actor.
Yeah, he was absolutely 100% prepared, and he didn't act as a director. He didn't step on anybody's toes. He was there to do his business. The only time he ever gave any advice, there's a great picture of all of us standing around outside. Beth's there, Jimmy. Stefania there took
our
it.
set
Stefania, our set photographer,
Stefania.
took it. It's this amazing, beautiful picture, and we're all standing there going over scripts, and I was kind of explaining to Harry that last moment about when he's searching. He's like, and the secret of the universe, right? And I kind of was telling him, look, you're searching for these words. You haven't found this yet. You're finding it as you say it. And David goes, may I interject? And I go, yeah, please. And he goes, Harry, you're not searching for the idea. The idea's been there your whole life. You're just finding the words to put the idea into the world. And so we stood there in silence, and Harry looks at me and goes, what do you think? And I stood there for a second. I go, I'm going to go with David Lynch on this one. Yeah.
Oh, these stories. Do any of you have stories like this to tell? Because they're so much more interesting than the questions I have.
I just was loving him and kissing him. It was weird. I couldn't stop hugging him and kissing him. I mean, they all know. And I took all these pictures with him, and I put them on Instagram, and I'm making out with him, and but I had no power, so it was not sexual harassment. But I was sort of embarrassed, and I said to my husband, I said, "I'm so sorry." I said, "It's not." Of course, it was very just friendly, and Michael loved it, but I was a little shy, so I took it down. But I just felt so deeply in love with him, and I don't care what he thought. He had a soul.
Well, I saw one of your Instagram pictures. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's interesting because you couldn't help but want to hold him.
Yes.
I mean, I would feel strange in a sense because he'd look at me sometimes like, what the heck is he doing? But I would put my arm around him and kiss him on the cheek because he just had I don't know what he had, but man, it was special. And I have photos of myself kissing him, and I'm thinking, well, I hope these don't go too far, these photographs. But he was, and he's responsive in an interesting way, that he just gives you a look, saying, "Yeah, I get it. I feel your thing too. First day I met him was a night shoot, my first day of shooting, and it was just great. It was just wonderful. I mean, I was in heaven because to be with him, with Harry Dean Stanton, and to be working with him was such a trip for me, and such an honor for me. I remember those days vividly, and I'm grateful.
Was he able to see any of the footage?
We didn't show him the whole. He didn't see the whole film, but we showed him the bar scenes, and I showed him the Mockingbird scene. And when I showed it to him on my phone, because he was kind of in poor health a few months before he passed away, and he couldn't. He was having a difficult time talking that day, so I showed him the Mockingbird scene, and he goes, and that was it. So. Yeah, he was a. There aren't words to describe kind of how he affected people's lives. When Drago and I wrote that monologue about Howard talking about Roosevelt, that's how we feel about Harry. He affected us. He affected you. And I know a lot of people, and nobody is really like that. And it's not dissing people I know, it's just some people are different. And that was that guy.
Yeah, for sure. And you captured him. What a beautiful homage to who he is and who he always will be. Yes? I mean, you captured him. That last look to the camera is heartbreaking and uplifting and hopeful at the same time. Don't we all feel that? Yeah?
I don't think it's sad at all. Somebody said that to me, and I was like, it's not sad. It breaks my heart, but it's not sad. There's two different things.
I always feel that I will see him forever. Do you know? Don't you? I guess it's because of what he did in the film, but just the feeling he gives you. But I feel that I will see him forever and ever, and that he is not gone at all, that he is right here with us now.
At the end of every shoot, and this is for 16 years, this is seasons of big love, and every movie, we did hundreds of movies. And at the end of every shoot, the last day, they'd go, "Okay, that's it for Harry Dean," and everybody would clap. And then Harry'd go, "You're the best crew I've ever worked with." And then everybody would laugh like that, and he'd go, "I'll see you in the movies." And then he'd walk away. He knew. And every once in a while, he'd say this to Beggs all the time. It's a lot of hard work being a legend. And
Ed, you're shaking your head. Would he say those things to you too?
Yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah. And the other, one of you will betray me. There's some standards of great stuff.
That the Liberace scene really did happen. He called me at like 1 a.m. and my phone rings, and we would call each other 24 hours a day. And he goes, and my wife's like, "Who is it?" Because who calls at 1? He goes, "It's Harry." She goes, "What is it?" I go, "Liberace's on PBS. Hold on." So I went out, turned on PBS, and we would watch TV and have the phone on and not talk to one another. And he would do this with a couple other people, and we just sit and watch TV. And after like 30 minutes, it goes on a break, and he goes, "I can't believe this ace just wrote this guy off as some extravagant fruit, but the guy's amazing." And he did the whole dialogue. He's like, I don't know why it mattered who the hell he was fucking anyway, because I can't even get it up anymore. Like, guys, and he got all that shit on his fingers. It's amazing. Like those were real things, you know. And it's like he never actually, it's not like he was homophobic the rest of the beginning of his life. He just never looked at it. You know, it was just something like a yellow car. It's like, oh, it's a car. But he never stopped to look and be like, well, that's a beautiful yellow car, you know.
Something just hit me. Did you write the script, and was it in full form, or did you add scenes, take them away as you were shooting or in the editing process?
There's a handful of things that didn't make it, little scenes, but in retrospect, I don't think we needed them. And there was one scene. There's one scene in particular I thought we really needed, but it turns out we didn't. In the music scene with the mariachis at the very end, we had a scene we didn't end up shooting because of time, actually. And it was where he takes the little boy who had the birthday and takes him aside and takes the harmonica out of his pocket and gives him his harmonica, like, I'm passing on my voice to this next generation. And we didn't have time for that, but in retrospect, we didn't need it. You know, his gift was the song. Yes. And that would just have been like an extra ending, you know, and you didn't, we didn't need that.
Yeah, kept it clean. There are a couple of questions, unless you guys want to keep telling Harry stories, which is fine with me.
The only other thing I'd like to say as a character actress, you know, most of us are character actors. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And this was Harry's only second leading role. And to carry a movie at 89 years old and to give and to bear yourself the way he did, it's the most extraordinary thing I've ever seen, most extraordinary performance, really, ever. And I'm so proud of him for his age, for his talent, for his being a character actor and showing that, yes, we can carry movies if given the opportunity. Yeah, and his kindness and love and just everything about him. I just feel so blessed to have gotten to be part of this. But yeah, we lift you up, Harry. We said today was in honor of Harry, and it is in honor of Harry.
Well, his drunk scene, my God. We see actors play drunk all the time, and some of them are fabulous, but it was so subtle. It felt so real. How did you guys work on that?
Well, for one, there's like 80 years worth of practice.
80 years.
You know,
we would have meetings at the bar.
We would meet at Tana's, you know, or at Agos, and then work our way to Tana's. So, but no, the shooting of that, for one, everything that Harry did on stage on script, anywhere, for anything, he had to believe it and understand what he was saying. So a lot of times we would argue, and I'm talking like argue like a married couple on the way to set. And he's like, why the hell do I need to say this word? And I'd be like, because it lays the groundwork for the thing at the end and it pays off. And he'll go, but I wouldn't say it. And I go, yes, but Lucky would. And we'd ride in silence and go, all right. You all do it.
You know, that speaks to, I mean, this was, Beth, you touched on it, this was such a raw, personal journey for him. And you know, Logan and Drago based this on his life. This is a brave performance. I mean, he's bearing himself physically and emotionally. The Mockingbird scene, it's a beautiful, beautiful scene. And that's Harry's story. That happened to him. He told me that at Tana's. And the day before shooting it, he said, you know, I think Drago, you were driving him home, right? And he said, you know, the Mockingbird scene we're shooting tomorrow, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And it was like a lot of conversation to trust, and he bared himself in this movie, and I think that's so brave.
And that's that moment, that scene too. It's confessional, you know. He's admitting his sins. And the only other thing it reminded me of is he told me that David Lynch approached him to do to play the Hopper role in Blue Velvet. You know, that like, oh, I'm dirty. That whole
Dennis's
Hopper
role?
Yeah, and he turned it down because, and I quote Harry, I didn't want to go there. You know, it was like too dangerous a place for him to go to. And with this, he was saying the same things like about the Mockingbirds. Like, I don't know if I want to go there. And I didn't want to exploit the man or his experience, but I also we knew that it was integral to the arc of his story. And so finally, I think he knew that also, but him and Hod, for his own sake, to kind of muster the strength to do it. And he did it once, and the place was just silent.
I was just going to ask you how many takes, just one?
I think we did two. I think we did one.
We did one, and he asked for a second one.
Right.
He didn't want to do it the night before, and then he did it, and he went to John. He said, I think I'll do another. And John said, okay. I think that was the only time he asked for another take.
And it's weird because, I mean, the place was dead still. It was 100 degrees in this house. I mean, and you look over, and even the boom guy is like teared up for it. It was, everyone's like, we'll do it again, we'll push lunch. Everyone was fine with it.
It's such, as actors, as I think most of us are here, to see an actor go there and not push it so that we have the experience as the audience, right? I mean, that's what we're always taught. You know, don't show too much. And I felt as if I had entered his heart or something, because it was just heartbreaking. Yeah, to see him go through that. I'm babbling right now, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Absolutely.
Speaking of acting, there's a question here for you, Beth.
I didn't do it.
No, it's a personal question. How important is it to take acting classes, and how do you figure out where to take them?
Gosh, well, I'm a big believer in acting classes, and I think it's everything. I mean, I wish I had a class right now. Honestly, I'm sort of shopping for a teacher right now because I'm hungry. I miss it. My teacher passed away, and Milton Gonzalez, and I haven't been in class since, and I really miss the group dynamic and the teamwork, and then having that one person who has their eye on you, who can guide you and help you and be a mirror to you and reflect to you so that you can't kid yourself. Milton would say, you know, we'd do a scene and he'd say, okay, you talk, and then I had to be quiet and just listen, which is not my forte, you know. And so I miss that very much. I think you should study for your whole life. You go to the actor's studio.
I do when I have time.
Yeah, it's just the good news is when you have a career, you don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Ed, do you study anymore?
I haven't in a while, but it's key to keeping the level of work where you'd like it. My dad was an actor, as many people know, and I had this attitude of, you know, wake me when I'm famous. I want to get a wagon train or a Gunsmoke. Give me a series, Dad. And I wanted to be an actor, and I took no classes. I never got one job, of course, because I didn't know what I was doing. Imagine the son of a plumber going, I want to be a plumber. You know, show up in the truck and I'll just start doing some plumbing. You know, you got to train. And then I finally trained. I took some classes, and what a shock. I started to get work. But when I don't have classes in my life, which I don't now, I feel a little less secure, and I've just been, like others on the stage, I've been too busy to do it right now, but I'm looking forward to getting back. It's essential.
You know, it's interesting because a lot of times my agents go, no, don't go up and audition for that one day guest star on a TV series. You're better than that. And I go, wait a minute, I get to go and work on a scene for free and meet a few people. Well, it used to be the old days you met people. Now you're doing it for a camera, right? But I like to audition.
I do too.
Because
You
it's
get
an
to play the part.
opportunity to play the part.
You get an opportunity to play the part. Then you might get a chance to do it again in front of a camera for pay. That's the bonus. But you get to play the part in the room. That's the joy of it if we're really actors.
I like to study. I studied in New York when I started when I was 17 with a woman named Stella Adler, who was a marvelous coach.
So great. I love Stella.
Were you with her? Yeah. I was with her for 2 years, and then got a lucky break. But after that, when I'd come to California, my friend John Saxon, who is a marvelous actor. He's not doing well right now, but he's a killer actor. And John and I would go to every single class that we could find in this town every day of the week. And it's important. I mean, I'm a singer also. So if I don't sing, literally don't sing every day, my chops are not there. I have to sing every day, vocal exercises. And then I sing with some tracks that I have. So the same thing would apply to acting. You know, when I met John, our director, you know, he said to me, we were having breakfast at some deli, whatever, and he said to me, you know, you haven't acted in a long time. I said, I'm acting right now. I said, you think I want to be here? I'd rather be in my Porsche tooling around the town. I said, I'm acting now. I act every day of my life. Really? I do. We do, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So, but going to a class really pushes you, and you know, and you're performing for your fellow actors. So you want to really be on the mark, and I think it's really important. And when you find a good coach, let me know, because I'll join you.
We'll do a scene together.
Absolutely. We'll do many scenes together.
So, and you can stretch too. Like I got to do scenes in class that I would never get cast. I did Lady Macbeth, and I did The Visit, and I did Medea, my version, my way, and I would never get cast in those roles. But they stretch me, and they give you confidence, and yeah, it's just the most delicious, important thing. How to find a teacher, though? It's a good question. There are, I'm sure, a lot of great teachers around. Maybe we should all go together. I know Richard
Let's start an acting class.
Yeah,
Richard Lawson.
Richard Lawson has a school now. I think it's Waco, WACO in North Hollywood, and they're doing very exciting things. James Franco has a school. It's on Magnolia Boulevard in North Hollywood. I think 24, something with 24 in it. Catlin is...
Well, yeah, there are a lot of acting teachers, acting coaches, and you just have to... It's
check
a
them
lot
out.
of word of mouth or something like
and
that.
see what clicks, because you'll know the right teacher for
Yeah.
you. But then the important thing is, once you find that teacher, stick with that teacher, I think.
Yeah, audit. You know, you can audit
It
classes.
has to be a marriage, though. I think you must... There must be some communication that you both understand, you know. I mean, because there are, I'm sure there are several good teachers around, but you have to search out and find the one that works for you.
Well, that's why I auditioned for the Actors Studio years ago in New York City, because it's a place where you can put a scene up, you know, on a Friday morning, and get feedback from the people who are members of the studio. It's always moderated, like Marty Landau was our moderator here till he passed. And he kind of runs the group, but everybody gives feedback, so you can hear from a lot of different voices and separate the wheat from the chaff, take what works for you and leave the rest. But that's also a good free place to work, so you don't have to spend a lot of money, but you have to audition to get in. And then it becomes a family, you know, that you can rely on.
But you need craft, you need technique.
Well,
Like I was joking
it's all about that. It's
having
the Strasberg
a toolbox.
method.
Hopefully you won't need it. And I was joking about the change in what I thought I would do when I read the script, and as opposed to what they saw and what John wanted. And thank God I have a technique, so I could get to work, and I knew how to break down the script and think of her in a different way and do a history and think about the prior event, you know, a special technique that I can go to that's like a checklist. I don't know what I would do without it. And so often in film we don't get to rehearse. And so you got to do it on your own. You got to have a technique. So yes.
So are you guys going to write yourselves some roles, or are you sticking to writing? Or are you going to write something for...
Yeah, we intentionally...
older women?
They do write good women's roles.
They do.
We intentionally left ourselves out of that. We both considered playing that Ron Livingston part, but we wanted to make sure that people didn't think that we were indulgent actors doing this whole thing to get a part with Harry Dean. We were doing this as a vehicle for Harry Dean, you know, and we didn't want to muddy the water.
I must say, Ron was so good in
He
that
killed
film.
it too.
good.
And
He
as
was
and
excellent,
on the
man.
production side, it ups our production value and our sales ability and all of that to have a name like Ron Livingston. But that said, yeah, we have a Western that we're writing that we'll both end up carrying a gun with. We got a part for you too, man.
Giddy up.
You don't have to ride a horse, but you get to kick a guy out of a bar. So
Sign me up.
yeah.
Well, speaking, Ed, this segues right into someone is asking a question of you. What do you consider your biggest break? Was it St. Elsewhere?
Definitely St. Elsewhere. That's an easy question, but a good one. I had been an actor at that point when I when I got that part, 15 years, and I was ready to leave Los Angeles. I was literally, we had put our home, we were about to put our home on the market to list our home, because I figured if at that point I'd been 15 years working as an actor in SAG, and I hadn't made the headway I wanted to make, you know? And if you're in the storm door industry, you sell aluminum siding or law or medicine, whatever you do, after a decade and a half, you're not where you want to be. Maybe you want to shake it up. I still wanted to work in entertainment, but I thought, I'll move to Atlanta. I had this idea of Atlanta. I'd be a big fish in a small pond. I'd been there with Harry Dean in a movie, and I'd been there doing stand-up years before. I'll try to be like the weatherman at the local station in Atlanta. And then I'll get a talk show out of that eventually, and then all the rock stars and actors that come through Atlanta. That was my plan. Honey, let's list the house. Ring, 1 second, let me get the phone. What do you mean? What is this St. Elsewhere? What does that even mean? Okay, I'll go in tomorrow. I got an interview tomorrow. Went in for St. Elsewhere, didn't get the part. I wanted the part of Dr. Peter White, didn't get it. That was irregular. They threw me a bone, gave me a 1 episode, 2 episode part, and then it became a thing. And then it became...
Wow, so you went in not with a contract. You went in for just a couple
to
of...
play one. They kind of liked me.
They
Mark
liked-
Tinker and Bruce Paltrow liked me, and John Macias liked me. So they said, no, give him that part of Ehrlich, that guy Ehrlich. And I was like talking to myself in the script originally, because they merged Stanton with Ehrlich, so we'd have 2 lines instead of just 1. But then they built it. They liked the character, and Bill Daniels is the one that really I have to credit, the wonderful Bill Daniels, because they paired me with him somehow right away, and the Mutt and Jeff thing with him.
Yes.
And he is such a fine actor and such a great tutor to me that Bill Daniels, I wrote in his coattails.
Bill Daniels, our president of
Exactly.
SAG a number
dear
of years
friend who I
ago.
love,
Yeah,
Bill and
and that's
Bonnie.
right. You two together. Oh, my God.
And Bonnie's been so great with this foundation too. Bonnie Bartlett, the wonderful
Bonnie
actress,
Bartlett,
Bonnie
yes. Okay, let's see what the other question is. We already asked this one. Did Harry get to see the final product?
No, but
But he's seeing it.
yeah, he's seen it. And you just reminded me about SAG. When I used to do stand-up, my joke was my SAG card is like, my SAG number is like 662, 7213. Harry's SAG number is 7. 7. It wasn't really 7, but it was like 3 digits, because he was a member since 1956. I have his card.
That's when I joined.
56?
You joined?
Yeah.
Jimmy,
that's
you?
his card.
I was in 1956. I became a member of SAG.
Wow.
Yeah, and I still am. Yeah. No, that's a long time.
Yeah, and for all its...
And I'm only 24. Yeah.
and for all its strengths and weaknesses, it's helping, Harry, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful organization, and we're all really lucky to be part of it. I mean, it helped Harry when he needed it the most, is his health insurance, because he was part of it, and that's fact, and we all are going to need that at some point, and, thank God for SAG sometimes. So it sounds like I'm
50 years. I've been an actor, working actor in SAG for half a century. 50 years this year.
Is that crazy?
We're a bunch of old men up here.
And we are. I'm proud of it.
And proud of. I have the casting book at home, like from 56, 57, and of course I'm in it, and I have to check
Harry's
out
in it, I'm
Harry.
sure he is.
He's got to be in it. Yeah, that's wild.
You're talking about the book?
Yeah.
What?
Academy Players
The
Directory.
Players
Academy-
Directory. How
exactly.
many
Thank
people
you.
remember the Players Directory?
Yeah.
Oh
Why?
my
What do you mean? Is
God.
it no longer around? I mean,
It's sitting somewhere
all
with a Thomas
online.
guide.
Oh, really? Online? Everything's online. I don't like that. When I directed for a while in episodic TV, and I would always use that book, of course, the Academy Players Directory. But I didn't know that they don't make them anymore. I'm going to cover my walls with them now. I mean, I have a whole bunch of them. I think they're great. Yeah, they were terrific. I mean, to look up actors that, you had seen in something or whatever. That's a shame. It's online.
Well, I think it is. I don't even know. Is it actually online? It's not a book anymore.
It's what?
iActor.
Printed copy, like
Yeah.
can get a printed copy.
And they had like leading actresses
Wow,
and leading
yeah.
men and ingenue and character. But I agree with you. I believe every actor is a character actor. What else is there but characters?
That's right.
Are there robots? We have 4 minutes. Does anybody have a burning desire to say anything, or should we open up to the audience?
I'd like to say something real quick, is that this film is obviously you can tell it's a labor of love. Everybody here did it because they loved Harry Dean, and they really liked the script. And that's important in art, I think. The nexus of things is having strength of love and appreciation for what you're doing. That said, we're hitting this award season now where the people, some of the movies we're going up against, they spent more on craft service than we did on our whole film. That's not mistaken. That's
not a joke at
all. That is a real thing. More people, they spent more on Pop-Tarts on some movies than we did on our whole script.
Yeah.
So that said, we're still in the same room, you guys. Harry and this cast and these producers, we've done something I think is legitimate. And if you really dig it, tell your SAG friends and tell the people that matter. If you don't dig it, that's cool. Just don't talk about it a lot,
Well, let me just run down the list so far. Best Actor noms for Gotham's Satellite Awards. Best Actor, Gijon. Gijon?
In Spain. Yeah.
In Spain. Honorable mention, Thessaloniki Festival in Greece. Best Feature and Audience Awards in Haifa. And the Audience Award in Thessaloniki. I hope I'm pronouncing
Greece as
that.
well. Yeah.
I'm butchering the Greek language. American Film Festival, Poland. Winner, Best Feature Satellite Award, Chicago Film Festival. Best Soundtrack in Spain. And, the sound, oh my God. This is such a, yes, I agree. Spread the word, put it on Twitter. You guys take a bunch of pictures and put it on IG, and share the word. This is the kind of film, it's the little engine that could.
Word of mouth is
word of mouth is
makes
really
this
good.
movie.
This is an homage not only to Harry, but to the courage to do something you've never done before. My hat's off to you guys. Writing. First-time director and incredible performances by these 3 actors. And always Harry Dean Stanton.
Harry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francis, for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you, everyone.